Hi everybody, welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds and Saturday Live at the Backyard Bird Center. If you watched my YouTube video on, what is today? Saturday, yeah, Thursday, I talked about where to look for birds in the fall and trying to help you on, and it was shots from our bird hike on Thursday morning at the Parkville Nature Sanctuary, and we talked about birding along the edges of fields and on the edge of the woods where there's lots of berries and fruit and things like that, and always concentrate on water, all that. If you watched that video, you heard all that. Well, the darndest thing happened. Come back here to the store after the hike, and this bird is in the parking lot right up against the building out back of the store. Evan was unloading bird seed and said, "Look at that bird." And Carrie called Carrie and he was like, "What is that?" Well, this, folks, is a Virginia rail. And these birds belong in cattail marshes and salt marshes and wetland areas. They don't belong on the asphalt in an urban shopping center. So this is the perfect example of during migration in the fall and in the spring, birds can turn up just about anywhere, and when you can look for them in all the right places, and you'll see lots of birds. And then something like this happens. This little guy was probably exhausted. They don't fly high, they don't migrate high like a lot of our songbirds do at night and at high altitude, and they travel great distances. This guy is short, chunky, and no, he does have a tail. That's the length of his tail. Somebody asked, was he missing his tail or was it a short tail? Well, this guy, they're not highly maneuverable. The tail is the rudder on a bird. So long tails are for those birds that have to turn really fast and catch insects, or Cooper's hawks have really long tails because they chase other birds, and that is their way to steer. Well, a bird that lives its life on the ground or in the mud, like this guy does and runs around, he doesn't need a long tail. So he just runs along. And you know the saying, skinny as a rail? This is where that comes from. Rails are compressed, and if we had a shot of this bird looking straight onto him, he would be very compressed. He'd be very flat this way because they run through the marshes, the cattails, and the spartina grass on the coast. They slip in and out, and they run pretty much everywhere they go. So for him to fly in migration, he gives out, he has to rest. This guy was sitting in the shadow of the building out the back door, and there was water there from the runoff from the air conditioners on the roof. There was a puddle, and believe me, the Canada geese take advantage of that water all the time, and they're out there and they'll be sitting in a puddle of water that is from there. And this guy was just hunkered up there, and he just wanted to rest. And he was, I got a couple of other pictures of him. This is a different angle for them. You see how long that bill is, and he usually uses that to probe into the mud or catch insects, catch little tadpoles, catch anything aquatic, and eat those. But he's very small. He's only about 9 inches head to tail. So maybe the size of a blue jay. And then the closest relative to him that looks a lot like him is called the king rail, and he's about twice as big as this one is. This was a really good picture to show you how small he was. This little L bracket that's up against the building, you can see that little L bracket's not very big, and this guy, you can see he's not very large either. So, you know, in the category of always keep your eyes open, always be on the lookout, especially during migration, and watch for something different. Had a phone call just now from a long-time customer who had a rufous hummingbird at her feeders yesterday. Described this beautiful golden hummingbird, and rufous hummingbirds do migrate through here. A few of them, not many, so she was really lucky. But she knew it was different. She called me, got a good description of it, and so watch for anything this time of year in your backyard and you're on a hike. Look for things that are different, because this guy stands out. He's kind of more chicken-like or quail-like than anything, but that longer bill. So Virginia rail, a really cool bird, especially for an urban shopping center. Not exactly where you expect to see them. So I guess the topic of the day is birds show up in the darndest places, and keep your eyes open. So thank him for the inspiring this video today. So send in ideas for future programs. We want to talk about what you want us to talk about. Give us a like, give us a share. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Until then, come on, let's talk birds.